politeness. Grunted the astonished servant. "I assure you I am not deceiving you. You shall not have to answer for me. As to my being dressed like this and carrying a bundle, there's nothing surprising in that. The fact is, my circumstances are not particularly rosy at this moment." "No, no, I'm not afraid of that, you see. I have to announce you, that's all. The secretary will be out directly. That is, unless you... yes, that's the rub. Unless you... Come, you must allow me to ask you, you've not come to beg, have you?" "Oh dear, no. You can be perfectly easy on that score. I have quite another matter on hand." "You must excuse my asking, you know. Your appearance led me to think... But just wait for the secretary. The general is busy now, but the secretary is sure to come out." "Oh, well, look here, if I have some time to wait, would you mind telling me, is there any place about where I could have a smoke? I have my pipe and tobacco with me." "Smoke?" said the man in shocked but disdainful surprise, blinking his eyes at the prince as though he could not believe his senses. "No, sir, you cannot smoke here, and I wonder you are not ashamed of the very suggestion. Ah! A cool idea that, I declare." "Oh, I didn't mean in this room. I know I can't smoke here, of course. I'd adjourn to some other room, wherever you'd like to show me to. You see, I'm used to smoking a good deal, and now I haven't had a puff for 3 hours. However, just as you like." "Now how on earth am I to announce a man like that?" muttered the servant. "In the first place, you've no right in here at all. You ought to be in the waiting-room, because you're a sort of visitor, a guest, in fact, and I shall catch it for this. Look here, do you intend to take up your abode with us?" he added, glancing once more at the prince's bundle, which evidently gave him no peace. "No, I don't think so. I don't think I should stay, even if they were to invite me. I've simply come to make their acquaintance, and nothing more." "Make their acquaintance?" asked the man in amazement, and with redoubled suspicion. "Then why did you say you had business with the general?" "Oh, well, very little business. There is one little matter, some advice I'm going to ask him for. But my principal object is simply to introduce myself, because I am Prince Muishkin, and Madame Epanchin is the last of her branch of the house, and besides herself and me there are no other Muishkins left." "What? You're a relation, then, are you?" asked the servant, so bewildered that he began to feel quite alarmed. "Well, hardly so. If you stretch a point, we are relations, of course, but so distant that one cannot really take cognizance of it. I once wrote to your mistress from abroad, but she did not reply. However, I have thought it right to make acquaintance with her on my arrival. I am telling you all this in order to ease your mind, for I see you are still far from comfortable on my account. All you have to do is to announce me as Prince Muishkin, and the object of my visit will be plain enough. If I am received, very good. If not, well, very good again. But they are sure to receive me, I should think. Madame Epanchin will naturally be curious to see the only remaining representative of her family. She values her Muishkin descent very highly, if I am rightly informed." The prince's conversation was artless and confiding to a degree, and the servant could not help feeling that, as from visitor to common serving-man, this state of things was highly improper. His conclusion was that one of two things must be the explanation: either that this was a begging impostor, or that the prince, if prince he were, was simply a fool, without the slightest ambition. For a sensible prince with any ambition would certainly not wait about in anterooms with servants, and talk of his own private affairs like this. In either case, how was he to announce this singular visitor? "I really think I must request you to step into the next room," he said with all the insistence he could muster. "Why? If I had been sitting there now, I should not have had the opportunity of making these personal explanations. I see you are still uneasy about me, and keep eyeing my cloak and bundle. Don't you think you might go in yourself now, without waiting for the secretary to come out?" "No, no, I can't announce a visitor like yourself without the secretary. Besides, the general said he was not to be disturbed. He is with the Colonel C. Gavrila Ardalionovitch goes in without announcing." "Who may that be? A clerk?" "What, Gavrila Ardalionovitch? Oh no, he belongs to one of the companies. Look here, at all events, put your bundle down, here." "Yes, I will if I may. And can I take off my cloak?" "Of course. You can't go in there with it on, anyhow." The prince rose and took off his mantle, revealing a neat enough morning costume, a little worn but well made. He wore a steel watch chain, and from this chain there hung a silver Geneva watch. Fool the prince might be, still the general's servant felt that it was not correct for him to continue to converse thus with a visitor, in spite of the fact that the prince pleased him somehow. "And what time of day does the lady receive?" the latter asked, reseating himself in his old place. "Oh, that's not in my province. I believe she receives at any time. It depends on the visitors. The dressmaker goes in at 11. Gavrila Ardalionovitch is allowed much earlier than other people, too. He is even admitted to early lunch now and then." "It is much warmer in the rooms here than it is abroad at this season," observed the prince. "But it is much warmer there out of doors. As for the houses, a Russian can't live in them in the winter until he gets accustomed to them." "Don't they heat them at all?" "Well, they do heat them a little, but the houses and stoves are so different to ours." Were you long away?" "4 years, and I was in the same place nearly all the time, in one village." "You must have forgotten Russia, hadn't you?" "Yes, indeed I had, a good deal. And would you believe it, I often wonder at myself for not having forgotten how to speak Russian. Even now, as I talk to you, I keep saying to myself how well I am speaking it. Perhaps that is partly why I am so talkative this morning. I assure you, ever since yesterday evening I've had the strongest desire to go on and on talking Russian." "Yes. Did you live in Petersburg in former years?" This good flunkey, in spite of his conscientious scruples, really could not resist continuing such a very genteel and agreeable conversation. "In Petersburg? Oh no, hardly at all. And now they say so much is changed in the place that even those who did know it well are obliged to relearn what they knew. They talk a good deal about the new law courts and changes there, don't they?" "Yes, that's true enough. Well now, how is the law over there? Do they administer it more justly than here?" "Oh, I don't know about that. I've heard much that is good about our legal administration, too. There is no capital punishment here, for one thing." "Is there over there?" "Yes, I saw an execution in France, at Lyons. Schneider took me over with him to see it." "What, did they hang the fellow?" "No, they cut off people's heads in France." "What did the fellow do? Yell?" "Oh no, it's the work of an instant. They put a man inside a frame, and a sort of broad knife falls by machinery. They call the thing a guillotine. It falls with fearful force and weight. The head springs off so quickly that you can't wink your eye in between. But all the preparations are so dreadful. When they announce the sentence, you know, and prepare the criminal and tie his hands, and cart him off to the scaffold, that's the fearful part of the business. The people all crowd round, even women, though they don't at all approve of women looking on." "No, it's not a thing for women." "Of course not, of course not. Bah, the criminal was a fine, intelligent, fearless man. Le Gros was his name, and I may tell you, believe it or not as you like, that when that man stepped upon the scaffold he cried. He did,